I always say this as far as like progress, a little better every day goes a long way.
Yeah.
And
I
if you
like
can
that.
continue doing that over and over and over again for years,
Yep.
like you have, right? Like I have, you become this transformed, tremendously different person.
All right, what's up, everybody? It's Sam here with the CTG podcast. I figured I want to do a little podcast concerning coaching versus instructing. One of the topics that I hear brought up a bunch, and basically what steers people away or to certain people as far as a coach or instructor. Today, I want to bring on my buddy Rob Epifania. I have here. Rob's a guy that I've taught with before, and we think very similarly. So, Rob, go ahead, say hi. I want to let you introduce yourself to the people.
What's up, guys? My name is Rob Epifania. So I'm the owner of Systematic Performance Concepts, USPSA Grandmaster. I've been teaching and instructing for about, 2025, so it's 13 years now. Competitive shooter, so on and so forth. Sam and I have taught together. Like Sam said, we have a bunch of similarities in our philosophies of teaching, and with just enough difference that it's very much complementary. So when we taught together, we had a great time, and Sam's been on my group calls for my online training platform and community, and he's provided a shit ton of great knowledge for us, for the people that are in that program. So thank you, Sam. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on those calls. Those calls are great. If anybody's looking for good online training and like a good virtual system, Rob's the guy to go for that. But one of the things I like to talk about, because Rob is the guy that is thought of as a coach as well. He's thought of as like a performance coach. I mean, it's in his business name, right? It's the way it is, right? I'm a training group. Like, we start to understand that we're not exactly like NRA instructors, and that's where I started to realize an NRA instructor and a competitive shooting coach or a competitive shooting trainer are two different things. And really, what I wanted to say is, what is the difference between them, and why should you hire a coach is really at the end of this why I wanted to talk about this. Why is it better? Why should you have a coach? Why should you go to a coach or a personal trainer over an instructor? So first of all, when I talk about instructors, you've seen them before. You've gone to an indoor range, polo, slacks,
red shirt.
Yeah, like I'm not saying don't look nice. I'm not saying look like a schlub and you have to be all bearded and whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. I always joke he looks like a preacher. Like, he looks like a preacher man. He does. Why? Because he's preaching. That's what he does. He's preaching the gospel of the NRA. And while I like the NRA for what they do for whatever lobbyists and all that kind of stuff, I do not enjoy their coaching and teaching program very much. It's got its place if you've ever bought a gun for the first time and you don't know where to go, and like, I have this first gun and I don't know what to do, jump into an NRA class. You'll spend 8 hours in a classroom demystifying all the words and all the terminology and all those kinds of things. But beyond that, the practical knowledge wasn't ever there. And that's where I began. Is I had a gun my whole life, but I picked up a pistol and I was bad with it. And I'm sure everybody who's shot guns their whole life, they had a shotgun or, yep, Rob, yeah, shadow shotgun or
Me too.
Picked up a pistol. And they go, wow,
I was bad with a pistol.
I got to take a class. I took an NRA class and drove home basically thinking to myself, like, I learned nothing and I wasted 8 hours. I don't know. Have you been there, Rob?
I haven't. So my journey started a little differently when it came to shooting. I started later in life. I actually started by taking defensive classes. So Modern Defensive Training Systems was the first. Chris Fry was the owner, and he still is the owner, but he's not. He's working with a different company now as their training director. But I started with him doing defensive classes because I'm like, oh yeah, well, this sounds like fun. I'd like to learn to protect myself and people I care about better. And after my motorcycle accident in 2010, it was athletic sports, like high-level athletic sports was not the thing for me. So this became the thing that I could get good at without having to be the most athletic person, because I don't have the ability to lift my right foot. So I got into that, but then I got into helping Chris out and becoming an instructor myself. And that's when I got first exposed to the NRA courses as a learning instructor. So now I had a very good training counselor. His name was Andrew Harris. Excellent guy, really knowledgeable. And he said, well, the courses are kind of difficult in the sense that they're just like, for someone at the level that they've taken a bunch of defensive courses and they're doing well in them, the NRA stuff is kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
The instructor level stuff.
Like thick. It's like, it's tough to get through. It's 8 hours of a lot of stuff. And then some of the things, I don't know if you experienced this, you'd be taking a test and there'd be 2 answers that were correct on the same one. And there was no recourse for this because the instructor they're just going off the curriculum. Like they don't really have any sweat in the game for the NRA classes. They don't really know what they're talking about. They're just going off of what the NRA sent them as far as a packet goes.
Yep.
And you find these weird, well, I know this, he doesn't know. I didn't like the classes because they're long, boring, they're school-like. And you realize that, well, I'm not trying to learn school-like skills here. I'm trying to learn to defend myself. That seems like an athletic thing, actually. And it's funny that you mentioned it. I was an ex-athlete and I approached this and I started to see the crossovers. I wanted to go more the athletic side of things, not the school side of things. And the school side of things is great, but shooting isn't theory, it's practice. It is. It's 100% like you have to. This isn't reloading. This isn't PRS, right? Like this is all the defensive. Although we're going to call it performance shooting in general, where time is a factor.
Yep.
You had to have some meat in the game, and it didn't just have to do with written tests. It had a lot more to do with shooting. And
I think the best way to think of it also that really puts it into perspective for a lot of people is shooting is a martial art.
Yes.
If you think about it that way, if you think of shooting as a martial art discipline, in a sense, it makes a lot more sense how just sitting in a classroom for 8, 10, 12 hours and going through a book is not really going to be valuable to you. Not worth the time invested, I should say. There's some value in it, but just not enough.
It's not useless. If you're going to do nothing or do that, do that. But you know, hey, this is a game like USPSA. We talk about efficiency. I want as much value out of the time I put in. And I found that, classroom time for 8 hours isn't it. Generally speaking, shooting kind of a good example is like you said, martial arts is, I know guys who know every single strike and hit and all these things because they watch MMA. Mm-hmm. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo and I'll gladly fight them because I know I don't care how much you know, I have practical experience and knowledge in this. So it's one of those, it's the same kind of thing. You probably know somebody who knows every single football play, somebody who knows every single baseball stat. He couldn't hit a ball if it saved his life. And that's where I started to see, I want to be the athlete. I want to be the guy who can hit the ball, not just talk about it. Because by the way, if you pulled one of those athletes aside, they knew a lot of practical knowledge, right? Yeah. Athletes are just swinging bats without knowing about all the information. They knew both, but they knew enough of both to be successful. And I was like, all right, this is where my training had to start to go. And I wanted to find out how to start to do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So I think the difference between the couch potato, so to speak, and the athlete is out there on the field learning, putting their ego aside, allowing themselves to struggle and fail and grow in front of people under pressure. And it's creating a much deeper understanding of what's necessary to achieve high levels of performance. And I think that's the difference. You can have a lot of people. I mean, listen, we're the age of the internet. You post something. I can't tell you how many times I posted a video of my reloads and someone was saying I didn't keep my eyes on the threat. Like, okay, why don't you, can you please show me a video of you doing it at the same speed better than I do?
Yes.
And there are not many people that can do that. Like, and that's not being arrogant or anything like that.
Because I say the same thing. It's like, it's just I have something, just because you don't understand what I'm doing doesn't have any, it doesn't have any weight in this argument. And then you start to talk about that guy is, you took your eyes off the threat. And you I always, for fun, I always like to click that icon and you go in and it's just an overweight dad of 3 from Missouri. And it's like, and whatever, I'm not talking that, I'm not making fun of anybody's body styles, whatever. I'm not meaning it to be like that. But my joke is then I as yourself, you're a professional shooter. You've probably coached some guys who have operated before. I am lucky to, I have a couple SWAT contracts. I work with a couple of guys who have seen some overseas and unfortunately in the country action. And I ask them all the time when I hear these tropes, say, hey, X, you ever, did you take your eyes off the threat when you did that? And they just start laughing. They just start laughing because they're like, shut up, man. Shut up.
Dude, I had a guy, like, It was a video I posted, and it got like 50,000 views on Instagram or something like that. And this guy was going back and forth with me, like, I'm like, and I'm always, guys, anybody who hears this, I'm always going to try to be nice, share, like, not disrespect you or be mean to you. But, like, this guy was just going. And I said the same thing. I said, send me a video. So this guy, he did take a video and he sent me a video. And I shit you not, it was one of those videos where he took 15 videos to get it. Right? 15 videos. And you could tell he was so angry at how hard it was to get one halfway reasonable, even looking. And you could just see on his face,
like effort in the neck. Yeah.
Angry because it took him forever. And he realized, well, this is not as easy as I thought it was.
Yep.
So I kind of laughed at that one. And that was I still have that one somewhere.
Yeah.
Stashed away in one of my phones.
You have that same frustration. I have it. I see Tim Herron gets frustrated online the same way. Where like we have, as professionals, instructors, like somebody who's been there. I don't even want to say instructor, as a professional coach, somebody who's been there, who not only has been there from the student side, is there on the practical side. I compete. I'm giving you a professional opinion, right. And I have somebody who, armchair athlete, like Monday morning quarterback, is going to sit there and argue with me online. So it is part of what we do. And it's funny because it's more difficult, I think, for the coaches to swallow and not argue with these people, because I know I'm right. I have the data to support it. I do it myself. I have many students to support it. I'm not just reading from somebody else's Bible. And because of that, I feel pretty strongly about it. But that said, the internet's going to internet, right? I think
that also kind of gives you an insight more into what a coach actually is too. A coach versus an instructor. The goal. So in that situation, right? I didn't like really beat the guy up. As a coach, as someone who cares about the experience that I'm delivering to people and the knowledge that I'm helping people acquire, my goal is to help you see that without insulting you or making you feel bad because you thought that. Because just as I know, at one point we were that guy too, in some way, shape, or form, right? At one point I was the guy. Hey, keep your eyes on the threat, like, right? So my job is not to make you feel bad, because you just don't know. But then you get people who just want to continue to drive it down, like they're right and you're wrong. And listen, and Sam will tell you guys the same thing. Anything that we teach you guys, anything we show you guys, is just our experience.
Correct.
Our job is to know as many different methods to help you guys, but not all of the methods that we show you are going to be the right one for you. And our job as a coach is to recognize that and be able to adjust to your specific situation. And I think you would agree with me on that.
Sam. Oh yeah. And the big thing you're saying there is a huge differentiation for me between a coach and an instructor is the ability to have been there before, been able to like come down to the level you're at and be able to dice it up and talk to you from multiple different angles at it, not be like, this is the right answer because I said so. Most of the time that frustration comes from not having an actual back. Like when I argue with somebody, one of these instructors, it comes down to, well, that's because that's what I was taught, or that's what my commanding officer used to yell at me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you have like an emotional attachment to this. It doesn't have any value. It doesn't have any data behind it. And mostly what we do, especially in this world, it's so data driven that if you have emotional attachments to the stuff you're teaching, right away, I start to go, oh. Emotion doesn't make your hit factor better. What you think doesn't help us in here. It's not quantifiable. It's not something we can measure. So I just don't care about how you feel or how you think. That's kind of what's nice about the modern day coaching that is popping up and the modern day performance coaching that I think is popping up. The instructors of old, like going back to what I was saying, I left an 8-hour basic pistol class going, well, I didn't really learn anything. They just made us shoot a qual at the end of it and take a test to say, here's your card. And I'm like, all right, well, what's next? Well, the NRA instructor was next. So I was like, obviously that one's going to be the good one then, right? I did the bad one. This is going to be the good one. This is 2
days. You just teach the course.
It was just 2 days of the same thing. They made you sit instead of 8 hours. It was 16 hours. The test was longer. The qual was longer. Nothing
cost more money.
Yeah, nothing was more difficult. Nothing was higher. And in fact, none of what the instructor was teaching us, because he was instructing us how to be an instructor. He wasn't teaching it from any experience that he's taught. He's just reading from the NRA. This is how you do it. And when you'd answer a question, he'd go, let's go to the rule book. NRA says do this, move on. He didn't really have a experience for, oh, the way I do it is because of this, because I have experienced this. I did it this way. I did it that way. And that started to bother me because I could buy the NRA material too. And I did. So my next logical step was like, fine, I'll just do this. And I bought the NRA material, and God, was that unfulfilling. Oh man.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I taught like 8 NRA classes, like full 15-person classroom. You want biggest headache nightmare classes I've ever taught.
I've taught 0.
Don't. It was.
Well, I got it to get insurance, and
it was ramping my way in.
Yeah.
So that was it. I was working at an indoor range. That's all that was available. These indoor ranges at Jersey. I found this, and I went to an outdoor range, and I tried to do outdoor NRA stuff, and it didn't work. And I just ramped my way in that way. And you start to realize very quickly that really the NRA stuff could have been skipped over. I could have jumped right over it and found who I found immediately was a coach. The first guy I found was a SWAT teacher. And when I went to him, I was at one of those indoor Jersey ranges, and I found the head of training. And I explained to him, I was like, hey, I don't want to take one of these stupid NRA classes, and that's all you have listed. I want to give you guys money to make me a better shooter, and I do not want to sit in a classroom for 8 hours. And he kind of smiled, and he was like, I know what you want. I get it. So he was a vet. He was a police officer who had seen a lot of stuff. He was a first responder in 9/11. His name was Bill Fearon. He's actually received a lot of medals for all this stuff. He's since died of brain cancer from being a first responder.
Wow.
Great, one of the best guys I ever met. And I fully credit him, by the way, for me being me right now, because he's the one who went, oh, you don't want that classroom? Come here. We spent 3.5 hours out of his own time teaching me how to go from like standing to kneeling to prone. We were at an indoor range. But because he was the head of training, he was like, you shut up, you leave us alone. And we were like laying in the port over to the side, and we were doing stuff we weren't allowed to do. And my eyes got this big. And I was like, oh my God, you could do all this stuff. You could shoot fast and accurate. You could do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. He met me at an outdoor range. It kind of turned into, I accidentally at that outdoor range bumped into people who were shooting 3-gun. And because Bill taught me indoor, brought me outdoor, I bumped into those 3-gunners. Yeah. That's what led me into competition shooting. And that's why I am me today. So it was like, it really did take somebody who didn't want to sit there for 8 hours and listen to instructor stuff. He wanted to bring me onto the range, see, like, show me where you're at. All right, no, why don't you do this, tweak this, do this, try this. And then when I asked the question why, he'd go, oh, well, when I was in Afghanistan, when I was shooting from behind my squad car, whatever, he had an answer for it. And I went, oh man, this is so much better. And that like led me into my first coaching experience. Like I saw the differentiation, and I was like, that's the guy. That's who I'd like to be. I want to be this kind of person.
So when I did, so the NRA courses are what they are. However, my training counselor was good. Like he was like one of the coaches that you would describe. Yeah. And that, again, this is not saying all NRA instructors.
No, they're not mutually exclusive. I still have my NRA. I still have my NRA instructor.
So
they're there. Like I have to for insurance purposes.
Me too.
They're not mutually exclusive. I understand exactly what you mean. My TC was a great guy.
Yeah.
Cool. He had been in a lot of stuff. He taught me a lot of things. He was a cool guy. But all the other instructors, it seems like the counselors were special guys. I like them.
They can be. So mine. His name was Andrew Harris. I had originally run into him because he took a class that I was teaching with Chris. It was a low light class, and he took that class as a student, and found out about. I was in the process of trying to get my certifications at that point, and that's how Chris hooked me up with him, and he was able to coach me to be a better instructor, for sure. Now, every time there was something that the NRA rule book said, you get the guy that reads it, and he didn't agree with it because he would cover his patch. He'd be like, well, the NRA says this, but
yes,
in reality. So he was a SIG master instructor too. So he had much more real world.
That's awesome. He's drawing
better quality instruction. So he was the first person like that would tell you. So you have students, right? You have students watch you, or newer instructors, right? What are they doing when they're watching the person shoot? What do you typically see? They're looking at, huh?
No, go ahead.
What like you have students watch you. What do they look at when you're demoing something?
For me, everybody asks me what time was that? How fast?
Okay. For me, aside from the time or whatever, but they're looking at the target.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're looking at the target. I have to tell them, don't look at the target. Look at what I'm doing. Look at my gun.
Yeah.
right? And that was one of the things that he imparted in me that was to this day. And now, like from competing, from learning how to process information faster, now I've learned that I can watch both as I blur that, I can watch the target and the gun at the same time if I have the awareness to pay attention to both. And now you get the value of both things, because there are some things that the target can tell you, but there's a lot more that the gun can tell you. So using it together works even better.
It's funny you say that, because I don't even realize until you mention that how often I say, don't worry about the target, watch my gun. The hole will be where it should be if I do my job. Watch what I do to the gun. I say that line so frequently that I'm like, yeah, that's a good, like, it's one of those things you pick up from, I couldn't credit who I picked it up from, but yeah, it's 100%. That's something, I didn't make that up. It's something you get from, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I want to be like that. And I like that you have these guys too, because it was the same thing for me. Like, I have his name was Bill Fearon. And then when Bill Fearon was like, I don't want to say done with me, but he's like, look, man, I'm a SWAT guy. Like, I don't know how to do quad loads. I don't know what you're talking about with all this 3-gun stuff. But when I was working at RTSP at the time, I was working with a buddy. He started talking about another coach, Kita Busi. Didn't know who the hell that was. I was like, who the hell is this? And he showed me a picture, and it was this tall blonde lady who was running with a gun over her shoulder. And ironically, I had bought the mag pouches that she had on her belt. And I was like, oh, wait, this is weird. That's weird. I reckon, oh, cool. When's she going to do the class? And he's like, I'm just trying to get her to hold the class. I don't know how to hold the class. I don't know where to do it. We couldn't do it inside at where we worked at that indoor range. And I went, well, at the time I was in Jersey, but I was managing a Fish and Game Association. I was like, well, what do we need? He explained the supplies. I was like, I got a pile of dirt and a pile of supplies. So in like 2014, 2015, I hosted Kita because I got the class for free. That's the only reason why I got the class for free. I wanted to kind of like see what this was about and like finagle my way in. And that was the first time that I saw a performance coach. Because as much as Bill was a coach and showed me how to do things better, he didn't understand like hit factor performance. He only understood defensive, and that's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad, because it got me to there. But then talking about movement, efficiency, the sport of it, Kita lit me up, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then beyond that, she sent like a follow-up email. If you asked her questions, and I was like, this is a huge differentiation. This is somebody who lives and breathes it. They don't come to a part-time job and then go back to somewhere else they care about more. This is what she did. And I was like, all right, this is where I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be the coach that was there before. And the thing with Kita is she has practical experience. She had practical experience as a USPSA shooter, yes, but she had practical experience coaching then. She had practical experience coaching some of these really successful shooters.
Right.
And that spoke to me. I was like, oh, so you know the game. You also know how to coach people already. You've seen it around. You've seen it at major and minor levels. You've been there, for lack of better terms. So I don't have to hope you're translating the right thing to me from Eric Graffel. She actually knew, she's friends with these people. She could talk to these people. And when I could ask her questions that she didn't know, she would ask JJ. She would ask somebody. She would ask, and she wasn't afraid to be like, hey, I'm not sure, or let's train about this. There was always exploration to be done. There was always like, let's make it better. Let's see if we could do it better. There was always research to be done. And she was always like, because she's a mental and a visual and a movement coach, she was always reading about like eyes and kinesiology and things that are like nerdy. And now that's where I can credit, like I get very nerdy into all these topics too, because I see the value in it. Because I see that you're one of the people that are very knowledgeable in all the science behind it. Tim Herron is, Steve Anderson is mentally, right? Like these guys really understand the topics to a deeper level, not just how to hammer a nail, but how do you build the hammer properly to hit the nail better, you know? Like it's a whole systematic approach. And I really started to see that you guys were the kind of coaches that I needed to be. It's go there, be there, do the thing, have some practical experience, be able to teach myself as my own student, take classes myself. You just said that, right? You were standing side by side next to your training counselor in a class. That speaks a lot to me. That's huge to me, right? Being able to do that. I remember when we were at Double Eagle, I was teaching with Kita, and Chris Costa was there, and we bullied Chris Costa into just, hey, we're not going to charge you. Come take the class. And being like side by side with like student, Chris Costa, student was hilarious because they don't know who he is. And he's just there playing with us. But like, it speaks to him. It speaks to like, all right, that's like, I respect an instructor. I expect a coach, a trainer who's willing to like work on themselves, see what else is out there, do those kinds of things.
It's continuous development, you know, in long term, in a deep way. So like, a good coach also can take something that is complex and make it simple for you. So, right, for instance, my degree background is mechanical engineering, right? So I'm a nerd. Like I'm an analytical nerd in a lot of ways, and I understand things like mechanically that not everybody understands. So my personal learning style is you could talk to me and give me 17 things to do on the next repetition, and I'll probably do 16 or 17 of them. Like I just have that ability to do that. Not everybody has that. So when I first learned to like coach people, I had to learn how to give simple information. But if you look at the growth path of someone who becomes a great coach, right? Everything starts off simplistic because you don't know what you don't know, right? And then you get very, very complex and deep as you really start to explore and try to gain mastery over the thing that you're teaching. Okay. And you can tell where someone's at in their journey because if they're like super detailed and they can only be super detailed, they haven't gotten to the last part yet. Once you've really, truly gained mastery of it, it starts to become simple. You can now explain the same thing that has all these facets and components and make it much, much simpler for the end user.
Yes.
Give them as much detail or as little as they need and still be able to communicate and get the desired outcome that you're looking to get for them.
I think that's a big differentiator is like, hey, I've been there. And not only I've been there once, I've been there so many times. I've attacked this problem from so many angles that if you just explain to me what angle you're coming at, I could probably relate to you because it's my job as a coach to be able to explore all that. Like I know I'm good at certain things, but it's my job to explore all the other things I'm not good at and all the other things, or even why am I good at these things so that I explain what, not just do what I do because I'm good at it. I am successful at this draw because I have broken it down and analyzed it, right? It works for me because I've tested it in so many different places. And then that comes down to one of my last things that I like to talk about, why I think a coach is a worthwhile coach versus an instructor. A coach can do demos right away. He could demo it at whatever level you need to see, right? I always explain everything at match pace, and I just call it speed of sight. That's always my tagline. I do everything at speed of sight. But if I need to slow it down so you can see what I'm doing, I could slow it down and still be efficient. Like I'm not going to shoot pop, pop, and a real slow transition to pop, pop. I'll just be able to go boom, 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 rather than pop, 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 right? I'll let you see what I'm seeing. Now, also, if I'm shooting at a match pace and I have a mistake, I can show you guys there's a mistake. Mistakes happen. Can anybody tell me why that mistake happened? Because I know why it happened, by the way. And then there's another learning opportunity. I could basically show you mistakes happen. You can identify mistakes and learn past them. I think that's pretty valuable too. And being able to do these demos for these people are something that differentiates a lot of good instructors from great or good, we'll call it coaches from great coaches. That's a huge deal to me. Can you do that again? I didn't understand that. Yeah, no problem. Can you do that? Can you explain how you did? Can you break down this piece of it? I know this is funny. Can you do it left-handed? Because I've had people who are lefties who like, they're seers, not thinkers. Like, the learning styles, like they need to see to have it done. And while I might need to put it in my left hand and think about it for a second, can you do it? Like, I'll figure it out. I've had lefty demos with rifles and things, shotguns, especially because shotguns are weird to quad load. And stuff. So it became interesting that demos are a big reason. And again, the demos are great and all, but really the number one way that I find that coaches should be able to like, this is why it works, matches. I think matches. And now this is where we get into the weeds of like a defensive coach. Sure, he might shoot different games. He might shoot IDPA. He might shoot different things. And his experience might be drawn from different experience, like a gunfight or law enforcement or military. But I think just preaching his points and not having any of that previous experience is just as bad as somebody nowadays who is preaching all this performance stuff and doesn't shoot matches because you're studying for a test you've never taken. And I don't know about you, but you could tell me you've studied as much as a doctor. If you don't have your MD, you're not operating on me. If you didn't take the test, I don't care how much knowledge you think you have. You need to take the test, man. And you need to find out if you fail or not.
And, even if you were going to choose not like, okay, let's say that person had all, like, there has to be a compelling reason that you have the knowledge that you have. Like something has to tell that person that you are this person or as much as you know, because I mean, quite honestly, like, especially in the MD situation, right? Neither am I.
I've done a lot of studying. I know a lot about like just in this, I'm very nerdy about like eyesight stuff.
Yep.
very nerdy about it now. I know a lot of information. I am not an optometrist. Like, I know a shit ton. I have gone to the optometrist, explained to him where my astigmatism is and that I have it in two eyes and had him confirm it.
Yeah.
Like, I was correct. I'm not an idiot.
You're correct one time.
I'm not an optometrist, man. I have no idea what the rest of this. I have no idea what I'm talking about. And
you researched on the internet and you found okay, this is what I think it is. Now let me go to the person who actually knows the shit, so I can make sure that it's correct.
I know that's where, like, instructors, we know NRA instructors are NRA instructors. We know the stand and preach instructors aren't great. The red coats, as we'll call them. But like, even a coach, I find a good coach needs to be able to shoot a match, because that's the doctor who took the test. That's the athlete who won the. I don't want to learn from a losing athlete. I want to learn from a winning athlete. Like, right. I'm not going to. Well, it's hard in this sport because it's hard to win in this sport. But
no, but you want the purpose. What you're trying to say is that you want someone that's continuously testing themselves and learning from those tests,
upholding standards, especially upholding standards under stress and pressure.
Yep,
that's a big deal to all of us, and being able to do it consistently. Being able to do it, like you said, that guy who was sending you the reloads. Hey, it's not only that I can do it right now, it's that it doesn't take me 15 minutes to squeeze out one, right?
Right.
I can do this consistently. I have a system that I can actually define how to be successful in this. And then that's what a coach does. He's like, hey, I found success in this. We'll call it this sport. What I did is define all the attributes of the sport. I created a system and I could teach it, and I can approach this from any way because I myself became a professional at it through experience, not through research. Now, he probably did a lot of research too, but the experience part is the part that you can't, there's no amount of hours that overcome it.
Research is nothing without testing.
Yeah. And
right. It's just hypothesis.
That's why it's theory. It's theory. And theory is great, but hypothesis needs to be tested. Yeah.
And the other thing about having a great coach is, I mean, you think about it this way. People take a class with me, right? And this is the way the class usually goes. I have an idea of what I might want to do in my head. And I the course outline might say X, Y, and Z, but I literally walk up to the class and I say, whatever we did this in our class.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me about yourself. What are you looking to get out of this class? What are you good at? Like, tell me, just let me know about you. Right. And we listen. All we do is we listen. And as soon as we hear, a couple of the same common themes, okay, this is what we do. So like a good, for instance, was Sean Griffith and I taught in North Carolina. We actually we're supposed to be teaching again in South Carolina in March for anybody interested in that. And Sean and I talked for 15 minutes before the class, the day before. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what we think. And I said that to him. We're going to talk. We're going to listen. It was the first class that I've done that didn't start with grip. Because nobody wanted to start with grip. Everybody's like, yeah, my grip is good. Because I asked them, I hear transitions, confirmation, stage planning, movement, whatever. But I heard transitions like 4 times, right? Out of the students that were there, or 6 times, the majority.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it sounds like you guys want to do this.
Yeah.
So we started with transitions, right? And we went through the day. And by the end of the day, like, we would give little tidbits to people about recoil control and grip, right? And they listen, right? Because you're not just going through curriculum. You're going like, this is what they want to learn. You're delivering that first thing. So now you're providing that value.
If you want to learn transitions, I will use transitions to teach you grip. Like, that's great. That's being a good coach in my mind. That's not being a rigid instructor.
You have the adaptability.
I don't have a curriculum. I have an outline. That's the way I like to put it now. I have an outline of the topics I'd like to cover. I will get to all of them because I need to cover them all to make you a good shooter. But the order that we cover them in is largely personal, largely skill-based, and that's a perfect example. It's like, fine, you don't want to learn. If you don't think you need to learn grip, I will sneak it in through the vehicle of transitions.
The best part about that, right, was, we snuck it in during the day because people became curious about it. Day 2, the first couple hours of class was all grip work. Like,
let's listen to
hilarious.
That. You're right about
now. They remember it.
Yes.
Now I want to learn grip because you guys piqued my interest and we delivered on the stuff that I wanted first. Now I'm ready to learn. And now they all listened and they all got better faster.
I love that approach because you're like, hey, so this is all the stuff you liked. And I was right, wasn't I? Mm-hmm. Why don't we come over here? And why don't
no, they asked for it, dude.
That's what I mean. Like,
they asked for it.
What do I want? Oh, you wanted it, and I was right? All right. So now maybe I was right. Maybe you should. All right. Yeah. Give us the grip. Give us the grip.
Now they listen. And that requires, you got to think about the level of depth of understanding of the material and how to organize and put together a class that's able to effectively deliver that.
Yeah.
That's not easy for most people. Like an instructor, like your typical like red shirt, as they would call it, instructors. That's not insulting the good ones, but that person can't do that. Like if you switch something around, they would be short circuiting in their brain.
Because I had one of the guys that I took a bunch from, like I watched a slide not load, and I watched him like have to stop class and go and load it and like find where he was, and like it stopped what he was doing. Meanwhile, like there's a flow that I'd like, but if there's no slides that are going to stop me, and if I forget something, like let's say I was going through something, I forgot a piece, I could just get back to it another way. And that's where I kind of joke that a good instructor, a good coach, a good firearms coach in this especially is a very akin to, I don't know if anybody, I'm a big fan of stand-up comedians and just stand-up comedy in general, but I find it's the same thing because they can have an act that they have jokes and they can tie them together. They don't have to be in the same order. And a good one won't put them in the same order, but the material will be there. They know this material is successful and they can deliver it to you depending on the vibe of what's going on in front of them. And it's the same kind of thing that we have to do. A bad one has an act. I must do act. And if act fails, I start stammering because I don't know where I am. And then
please laugh.
Yeah, like that doesn't work. And that's not how real life is. And especially when you're doing this for a living, not a part-time at an indoor range, feed me students. When you're doing this on your own name and your own reputation, I have so many wildly different people coming to me, both in learning styles, in what they want to learn, how they want to learn it, skill sets, like it's insane. So you have to be so adaptable. And that means we've had to go from 0 to 100. And that's why I like to say, well, I'm a GM in production in PCC and carry optics. I have limited optics. I'm close on open. But the reason I say those three is an iron sight, we'll say unmodified gun, like a rifle, and then a red dot gun that's heavily modified. And I can say, well, I've gone from 0 to 100 in all of the common gun platforms out there, and I can easily relate it to you. As much as it's fun to be a specialist in one thing, good coaches end up messing in more divisions, don't they?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, you have to be willing to learn, like, so like getting right. I shot iron sights for 4 years. I mean, I was top 20 in production nationals. I was top 12 in limited 10. Top 30 in limited. Like, so I mean, I done well there, and then I see the divisions dying out. So I don't want to stay there and look good. Right. Because that's not making me the best I can be. And it's not making me the best I could be for other people. So what did I do is I went to a red dot after shooting irons for 12 years. And now I'm in that process of starting over, but not starting from 0. So like you said, you're going now, okay, we're not at 0. Maybe we're at 60 or 70, but now we're going to push up to 100 in this division now. So that, hey, I'm trying to find the biggest pool. If I'm the big fish in this small pond, I need to find a bigger body of water.
Yeah, I agree.
It's forever personal development. And it's also about leadership development too. So anybody who's going to be a good coach is probably working on studying, for one, personal development skills, like personal interaction skills to be able to interact with you more effectively. And they're also studying leadership skills because one of the things that's important, I like you probably do it too. Like we train instructors, you and I train instructors. So we need to be able to make leaders out of other people.
Yep.
And we need to make them as good as we are.
So understanding like the psychology and the mental process behind all this is just as important as understanding how to pull a trigger, like the mechanics of pulling a trigger and being able to tie it together and being able to approach it from a newbie again and again. And I find it's humbling to go from, I mean, you want to be humbled. Yeah. If you suck, you suck. You don't know what great ever was, but be a grandmaster and start a new division and go. It's like, it's
irons to optics, man, dude. You
and Tim Herron are the greatest examples. You and Tim Herron goes, all right, well, I'm good.
Got to do it.
You guys are the top of your heap of your divisions, but everybody went to the other division. So you're like, I'm not going to big fish, little pond. I love that term. Yeah. I don't want to be the biggest fish in the little pond. I want to go swim with the big boys. I want to go see what's up. So carry optics, limited optics, and It's awesome to see that, because you also see Tom Castro is another good example of that. He can shoot carry optics, limited optics, and PCC at a world level. Like you see a lot of these really adaptable, good shooters who are also great coaches because they're adaptable. They learn, they see it from a lot of different angles. And I think like a good example is I learned a lot better gun movement with my pistol by shooting PCC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunity.
And
think about this too, man. Like I'm doing this with a disability. Right? Not everybody, well, nobody, as far as I know, I'm the only disabled grandmaster there is. Now, I could be totally wrong about that, but I don't know anybody else. You know,
it's at least uncommon enough that it's not even
the fact that I can even do it is like, and it's funny because like I run now too. Like I run 6 days a week, and it's like, why does God want me doing things that require 2 good working feet to be really good at, you know, like, so it's, again, it's how can I make this challenge and turn it into an opportunity? But at that same time, you're also able to inspire more people because of that.
Yeah.
And that's important.
You probably agree. This is a much more mental, visual, and spiritual game than it is a physical game at some points. And adaptability in the mental game comes with being able to start over, learn like I can't just be top of the heap king shit all the time, because that doesn't breed the kind of,
that doesn't make you the person you're meant to become.
Yeah. It doesn't breed the kind of like empathy a coach needs. It doesn't breed the kind of personality I need to be to relate to other people. I mean, the more I win, the more my people trust me, and I'm trying to win all the time, but I'm never just Sam won because Sam's the best and you're all going to listen to Sam. That's stupid. That's a dumb way to be.
But it's also they see you taking the same journey that they are.
Yeah. And that's a big deal. Like this season, especially, I have a bunch of students who are like, hey, I don't want to, I would like to, but I feel bad. Can I squad with you at this major? I'm like, yeah, totally, man. We're all in this. If I'm teaching you that pressure doesn't matter and performance consistency and all this stuff doesn't matter, and you're my student, I'm comfortable with you, you should be able to squad with me at a major. It's absolutely fine. At nationals, I might be a little stingy. It's nationals.
Yeah.
But I have like 5 different state matches that most of my squads are my people, because I'm like, I'm going to show you that's what this game is. It's my job. I'm going to do it like it's my job, baby.
We want to make people the best versions of themselves. And we want to help them meet and exceed their perceived potential, because we all think our potential is here, but in reality, it's a lot higher, right? Yeah. I know for me personally, like I'm at my best when I'm helping people. So when I'm shooting a match with people that I'm helping, that we're working together, and we're trying to make, like, we're all trying to help each other do the best we can, I feel like $1 million and I'm going to shoot well.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because you feel good.
Yeah. It's one of those things. Positive mindset works. Negative or neutral isn't going to maximize yourself. Your self-image isn't going to be maximizing your subconscious. You know, like you could go through Steve Anderson's little triangle there, and you could say, well, yeah, if I feel good, if I'm helping, if I'm in a positive, I will, you will crush this. We will crush this. You're helping yourself as much as you're helping these other people, but you're showing as like a coach, my system works. What I do works because, and I can also relate to you at your level right now. I can say, okay, I understand you might not be able to double that swinger like I will, but if I were you, what I would do is just pick a good spot and shoot it. You know, you could start to say, I've been there before. I know how to coach you. I'm not going to say do it my way, because my way is the best way. Like that's not going to help, right?
Dude,
it's fun to start to see this, because I like the matches. Now, matches are always such a contentious thing, but locals are so easy to jump into now. I'm not even talking majors. Like, I want high-level performance coaches. If you're going to be a high-level performance coach, you should be at high-level performance matches.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to be a good coach, if you want to call your coach a good coach, you should be out there competing once a month. You know, every local, you could fall into a local match anymore. It's not like it was 10 years ago.
Well, and don't forget, you know, like there are different levels. So when I was an instructor and a coach, like I was still helping people at levels even that were higher than me in competition, but it was in relation to the things that I was very good at, you know, so I was able to help them in that way. But like, you know, even if someone was let's say an A-class shooter, that doesn't, like, they can effectively help a C, a D-class shooter. Like they can.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're worthless. Cause remember this too, and you'll agree with me here. There's like shooting as a shooter, and then there's being a coach and instructor. Like those are 2 separate skill set paths. You have to develop both of them.
Yes.
I was fortunate in the sense that before I became a really good shooter, I became a very good instructor. like a very good coach first.
Yeah, that's
I had the opportunity to do that. Like I got great, don't get me wrong, like I would shoot a defensive class and I'd be the top 1 or 2 performers in the class. Like I shot TPC's Tactical Performance Center's level 2 qual from concealment, and I shot the highest score in the class. Like it's not, that wasn't.
It's not that you couldn't shoot, but you were focused on developing yourself first.
I wasn't a great competitive shooter because you could draw fast. I could shoot one target fast. Like I had some cop, but I did everything that every new shooter does in a competition. I did. Yeah. Hop, the little bunny hop from position to position, the very fast splits, and then taking forever to transition to the next target. Like all that stuff, I did all that stuff.
It's funny because every single coach will sit down and say this. Everybody will come down and say, yeah, we all went through basically, you had to go through all of this. Not in the same order, right? We didn't go, this is a great example. We went through this in an entirely different order, but like you have to bounce through all this stuff and you have to go
choice.
Because that's what everyone's going to go through. You're not special. Everybody forgets that. We're all humans. We're all going to go through the same thing. This is the same sport for all of us. There's very few of us that are going to be naturally talented at this because this is such a odd thing to be naturally talented at.
Yeah, I know.
It's just it's anti-human to be naturally talented at shooting fast and accurately. So it's a good look at like, I want to see that my coach has been there. I want to see that he continues to be there. I want to see that all that. I always looked at this. I was a CrossFit guy for a long time. I'm a dad. I can't do it anymore. My knees hurt. But when I was like, I did a good CrossFit box, the good CrossFit gyms, the coaches there were constantly learning, trying to get better and doing the things. CrossFit on its own is just fitness. CrossFit as value, like the value from CrossFit is the coaching. And that's what I realized with the whole shooting thing.
Yep.
Shooting's really awesome, but the value in shooting isn't just this dearth of knowledge. The value in shooting is the coaching. It's the people who are going to help you get better and do this and do that. That's where the value is. USPSA isn't magic on its own. Performance shooting isn't magic on its own. Performance shooting is magic because of the coaches involved, because we give a shit. Like I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money to get where I'm at. I wasn't gifted any of it. A lot of rounds and a lot of time and a lot of somebody was just not berating me, but they couldn't believe how much I had to pay a month to get my body fixed because of how much I shoot. My arms are ruined. I have a massage therapist I see twice a month, at least during the season, once a month off season. That it sucks, but I paid a lot of money and a lot of tolls to get to where I'm at. And I want to help you guys not have to take so long to get there, but I had to drag myself through all that broken glass. Like you have to do it.
Right. And even for me, like you never mind the physical stuff. I've done the same thing. I've paid a ton of money, invested a ton of money, time in classes, ammo, training, but I've also invested a lot in terms of business mentorships.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that I can, and coaching specific business mentorships that have allowed me to create a better experience for the end user and a better community within that.
I have a very serendipitous life. I'm not smart enough to plan half the things that I got away with, but going into CrossFit, I became a level 1 and 2 coach and I became a NASM certified personal trainer. And that taught me, because NRA instructing isn't going to teach you how to be a coach. That taught me how to be a coach. Mm-hmm. That taught me how to break down and make science out of out of larger movements. How do you do a snatch? You break it down. How do you do a draw? Break it down, right?
Break it down. Micro breakdowns.
Yeah, and you started to realize pretty quickly, all right, man, I being a coach is different than being a shooter. You need to be both, though. And then that becomes why, that's pretty much the end of the story here. That's why I wanted to make this podcast. An instructor has, they're good orators. They are a YouTube translator. Wonderful. Great. They might know more, they've memorized more than the next guy, but the application might not be there, right? Mm-hmm. A good coach has the actual practical experience. He's been there before. A great coach is always learning, always doing all this stuff. And that becomes the big thing. Why am I going to hire a coach? Because why are you going to spend 8 hours and $250 sitting in an NRA class where you can come to a class with me for 2 hours and get 10 times as much out of it? It's just efficiency, right? Why wouldn't you go to Rob's class for a half a day up in Long Island, right? Rather than spending 2 days at some indoor classroom and then doing a qual stationary at 25 yards. It's silly. It's just so silly. You want these coaches, they've made the mistakes so that you don't have to make them as much. Everyone's going to make the mistakes. But then we're here to go, hey, I've made that mistake before because I've been there. Here's how you fix it because I've made that mistake and I fixed it myself, or I've sought coaching myself to fix it. So why would I not hire a coach to basically short line myself. Like it took me, I guess, 8 years to become a grandmaster. Shouldn't take that long. So let me help you. Let me help you save a lot of time and a lot of ammo. Like let Rob help you save a lot of time mastering those iron sights that he figured out instead of you just banging your head against the wall. He's probably made the mistakes you are making and will make. Just listen to him. He's got the information in there. He loves this. He does this. I always say this at the end too, is like coaches to me, real coaches, the coaches that I give my money to, like, I don't want to say their life depends on it, but they've hung their life on this. They don't do this part-time in the weekends and then go back to their like nonsense job and not care. Like they don't, the NRA class, the NRA class, like you just fill out the sheet and it's done. And it was done. And I don't care about those 12 people ever again. And I don't, because they're not going to come back. They just don't. That's not how NRA works. You're just basically the Walmart. Whereas, like, even if you're running a business, like if you have a real job and you're running, like running SPC, you have the accelerator. You have your online community. You have people that talk to you constantly. You have people
all day.
You are coaching yourself. You're doing all that. It's not just like, I was in the police one time, so I'm going to make part-time money. No, man, I do this because I love it and I love doing it. Like that's where a real coach comes into it for me. It's like the passion of it.
So there are a couple things that go along with that, right? I tell people this all the time, whether you pay me or not, I'm going to help you. Like yeah, maybe from a business standpoint, maybe I shouldn't do that, but like, that's the truth. If, and when I become financially independent, right, I'm doing what I want to do. Like, this is like, if I had all the money in the world, I didn't have to do anything for the rest of my life except what I wanted to. I would be sitting here on this podcast talking about this exact same thing because I live and breathe it.
Yeah. I'd be talking about hit factor and dry fire and matches and
right. Meet and exceed our pretend. Like every day is an opportunity to be a little bit better. So I always say this as far as like progress, a little better every day goes a long way. And if you can continue doing that over and over and over again for years, like you have, right? Like I have, you become this transformed, tremendously different person than you ended up before. And that transcends shooting. That doesn't just...
That's why this is so psychological. I find this is so mental and psychological because what you just said is like, how do you get to grandmaster? A little bit, 1% better than yesterday. 1% better than yesterday. I always like percentage. I always use percentages because I'm a numbers guy. I was a machinist. That's how I work. But I always use that because I used to be a big fat kid. I was 100 pounds heavier than I stood. So my whole thing was today, I'm just going to get a little healthier than yesterday. There was no like timeline on it or like had to get there or anything, but it's the mental thing.
Can you see that? I don't know if it's going to show up. How can I be 1% better?
There it is.
That is a daily alarm at 8:30 a.m. for me. So I have that reminder.
Guys from I mentioned I train a bunch of like operator types, and one of the tribes I roll with, Sayoc Tactical, and the guy who runs that, his name's Tom Kyer. Tom Kyer is very well known for the speech he gave on a podcast. I think it was with Ethan Suplee. You know Ethan Suplee? He was the big guy in that football movie that got skinny recently. It's the easiest description of him. But and he's in the tactical games and shit now. He's a cool guy, but it's an interesting little tidbit. The just the small video is called Kill Your Clone. If you Googled Kill Your Clone, it's just like 1.5 minute speech that's just like and this is coming from, keep in mind, it's coming from the guys that they fight for a living. So his idea was, hey, tomorrow you're going to meet a clone of yourself from 24 hours ago. Did you do anything between here and there to get better that you can beat him? Will you beat yourself in 24 hours from now? And I ate that up and loved that because that's my big thing. It's like, hey, I'm not going to maybe gain a second off my draw, right? I have a pretty good draw, but what can I do to beat Sam in a race tomorrow? What did I do today that I could do better tomorrow, that I could be better? And that, by the way, is if I don't have coaches thinking like that, I don't want to hire them.
Every day, man. It's every day. So a good thing that I do daily now is I every day I reflect on the previous day. What was good? What were the wins for the day? How can I be better tomorrow? Right? Or how can I be better today? Because I do it in the morning. Right? What are the blessings that I had? Right? It could be something very, very grandiose. It could be something very simple. Right? Like, hey, I had a great time with my wife. We had a great quality night. Right? And then what am I proud of? Right? What thing can I be proud of so that I continue to build the belief again, so that I come up against myself I'm a little bit stronger, I'm a little bit mentally tougher, and I'm able to thrive against that person that from yesterday.
Yeah, I like this because I never thought like this until USPSA came into my life in a serious manner. And over the last like 5 years, this kind of stuff popped up because from the USPSA perspective, that translates directly into this. If you focus on the positive and you build a system of creating the positives, identifying the positives, things go a lot better. It's almost like magic. We call it the mental management system. It's almost like magic.
You'll like
what is it? The red punch buggy effect, right? You think about red punch buggies, you'll see 100. Yep. You think about being upset, you'll be upset. You think about how can I be better and what did I do positively? That's where your brain will rest, and that's how
works.
That's how coaching, like that's how you have to make people better.
And you think about it this way. So this is the analogy I've been using as I've learned more about myself and studied things about myself internally, right? If you look at your goal as the next floor in a house or across a gap, right? That needs a bridge, right? You identify what the next goal is, the next floor, let's say, and then you have the steps. So you have to call out what is the next step that has to happen in order to get there, those micro wins, right? And then you have to build the step by celebrating when you do it. If you don't celebrate the wins, the small wins that happen often,
that's a shaky step.
It becomes a ramp with fucking slime on it.
Yep.
And you ain't getting up to that next level. You'll have the structure to do it.
It's funny because I'm smiling and like I'm the reason I just like it's like 3 podcasts ago, but I released like my CTG system is because that is I needed to have a system in place to first identify the metrics to be able to say this is good enough. This is where I need to go. This is a win. And can I start doing this consistently? Because if you skip past the mental part of this was good enough or I did a good job, you don't know how to get that again. And it becomes this you're never going to be able to.
You're never good enough.
Yeah, never good enough, and consistently can't ever do well. So I like this because it starts to get very. I was called Pew Pew Guru, but somebody like thought it was funny because he kept calling me Mr. Miyagi the whole class because that's what this ends up sounding like. But at the end of the day, what did Mr. Miyagi do? Paint the fence, wax the car. Win the fight. Like, oh, all right. What do you know?
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah. Like, and what do you know? Because I always joke about that. Like, what is that? That's a block. That's the whole thing. Like, you talk about that. Like, I know it's a little simplistic approach to it, but yeah, philosophical is one thing. But why did Mr. Miyagi? Why was he a good coach? Because he had so much knowledge and experience, and he made it so simple and so positive. It worked. It wasn't the Russian guys you see online where you touch his shoulder and he knocks 12 people over. Yeah. No. You know, this guy's actually been there. So it's an interesting talk. And I love this topic because obviously it's what we do, but I'm glad you came on and were able to discuss this with me because you're one of the coaches that I see out there living the ethos,
as they call it.
Being the coach that I want to be, like you, Tim Herron, Steve Anderson, the guys that are out there like, hey, I care about my people. I'm getting better. I am contributing positively to the community. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot to be said about that. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a part of all this too, by the way, because this is a weird, we'll say last 5 years as this has gotten all very popular. It's been a weird 5 years. We've been into it for longer than that, but it's been odd.
It's going to keep growing, man. But you know, I appreciate you and I appreciate you as a coach too, because you do some exceptional stuff. And any student that I've worked with that's worked with like your name and Tim's name are two of the names that almost always come up as they worked with one of you guys.
Yeah, we share a bunch of students. Anybody listening, we actually just happen to have like probably 6-ish people that and we don't live near each other. Rob's close to me, but he's like 3.5 hours, 4 hours away.
Yep.
He lives in damn New Mexico. Yep. Yeah, and for some reason. I don't know. It's something to do with the way this community, and we're smaller the community than we think. That's also why I like doing this instructor versus coach thing. As much as we all know that these coaches are great, we live in this echo chamber of like 20,000 USPSA shooters that the algorithm doesn't let you they don't let you see everybody else still arguing about all the other gun stuff. So I like to put this stuff up so people can see it. Same thing with like the competition, get you killed in the street stuff. Like I know better, you know better, but it's kind of surprising that us competitive shooters have this knowledge, like almost a secret. And then in 5 more years, they'll be talking about what we were talking about today. And then 10 more years, they'll be talking, you know what I mean? It's like they're just.
And it comes back to great coaches also make their students self-aware so that the coaches are almost not necessary.
Yeah. You said something funnier. I'm glad you said that because it reminded me. I have a joke that we have the worst business model ever. Yeah. I'm going to give you the tools necessary to never need my business. Like that's like me showing up as a carpenter to the house and being like, here's a tool set, and here's all the wood, and here's the stuff, and I'm gonna get out of here. It's weird, but that's what my goal is.
Truth. That is the goal of leadership. The goal of leadership is to make yourself irrelevant, which by consequence makes your relationship with that person more valuable. Mm-hmm. And it makes the topics that you guys discuss much deeper and much more relevant to that particular person.
Yes. I could say there's not any, I have a couple of students that like I started with them and now they are shooting at a major level and a national level. And I have my super senior just won second at nationals in his division. So like these guys are like, yeah, I don't see him as much anymore. And that's like some of my proudest students is a guy I don't see anymore, or I see once a year. Right. And like, but I talk with them all the time. I'm always in communicado. He's letting me know where his match finishes are and what's going on. And like, that's the goal. I hope that I make hundreds of those because I know that is as many hundreds as we make of those. Thousands of people want to keep shooting and there's not enough coaches to go around for all the people that want to do this. So.
Well, that's the whole reason for the online platform, right?
Yeah, that's why. So I like that. I wanted to finish that off and say thank you. So if you guys are looking for anything online coaching wise, Rob has an awesome online platform that's basically like a community, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of content, access to a guy's brain that lives and breathes this kind of stuff. So if you're ever looking for anything online, hit Rob up. We will be doing a combo class. We just haven't locked down a date at Double Eagle this year, but check out Rob online, SPC. What is that? Systematic Performance Concept?
It's robepifania.net. Like that's the easiest way to remember.
Robepifania.net. Go check out Rob. He's like I said, he's in the Northeast, kind of close to me. He's in near the Lipsa area, if you guys are familiar with the Long Island practical shooters. So,
and
thanks for coming on, man. I had a good time talking about this kind of stuff.
My pleasure, man, and always appreciate the conversations we have, man. They're always so fulfilling and rewarding. So, yeah, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'll wrap this up with the last thing I always say to everybody is don't forget to dry fire.